Today, we're talking about something pretty wild, a new weapon out of China. But forget missiles, forget bombs. This is something else entirely, designed for a battlefield where you can't even hear an explosion. Space.
So think about this for a second. How do you actually win a war in space without firing a single shot? How do you knock out your opponent's most important satellites without creating this huge, dangerous cloud of space junk? Well, the answer, it's in a whole new generation of weapons that are completely silent and totally invisible.
All right, let's get into the specifics. Researchers in China at a state-linked institute in Xi'an have just pulled the curtain back on a pretty compact but incredibly high-power microwave system. And yeah, it's designed to do exactly what we were just talking about. So this thing is called the TPG1000C. And when you look at the specs, it seems almost kind of small. I mean, it's only about 4 meters long, weighs around 5 tons, but don't let that fool you. Its size hides a ton of power.
Okay, get ready for this number. Researchers are claiming this system can pump out up to 20 gigawatts of power. 20! To give you some perspective, sources say a system with just 1 gigawatt could probably mess with satellites in low Earth orbit. So yeah, 20 is a massive leap forward.
But here's the thing. It's not just about the raw power, as crazy as that is. The real game changer is how long it can fire. See, older systems, they could maybe fire for a few seconds, tops. This new one can sustain that 20 gigawatt burst for almost a full minute. That completely changes the rules of the game for this kind of warfare.
So you might be wondering, how does this thing actually work? Well, the whole idea here is to disable the target, not blow it to smithereens. And that difference is absolutely crucial. It has huge strategic implications.
The TPG1000C falls into a category called non-kinetic weapons. Basically, instead of hitting something with a physical object or an explosion, it uses focused energy. In this case, a beam of microwaves, to get the job done.
The attack itself is surprisingly simple and totally silent. First, you aim the weapon at a satellite. Then you fire this super powerful burst of electromagnetic energy. Now, this energy doesn't make it go boom. Instead, it just completely overloads all the sensitive electronics and circuits inside, basically frying them. The satellite is still there, but it's completely useless.
I love the way the source material describes this. It says to think of it as an invisible surge strong enough to knock out a satellite's electronics without ever touching it physically. It's like an electronic knockout punch delivered from hundreds of miles away. The target is still floating up there, completely intact, but it's just off.
Okay, so this new Chinese system is obviously a huge deal. But it's important to remember, this isn't happening in a vacuum. This is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. A global competition to control what happens up in space.
And really, this brings up two totally different ways of thinking about space warfare. On one hand, you have kinetic weapons, missiles and projectiles. They blow stuff up, but they also create thousands of pieces of dangerous space junk that can threaten everybody's satellites. But on the other hand, you have these non-kinetic weapons. They're clean. They disable the target without any of the mess. And that right there is a huge strategic advantage. And believe me, this isn't just a China story. The US, Russia, India, they're all working on their own anti-satellite or asset tech. The big players are kind of hedging their bets, developing both the messy kinetic stuff and the clean non-kinetic options. Meanwhile, you've got other countries like Germany that are racing to figure out how to defend against these new kinds of threats. There's this quote from a German defense official that just hits the nail on the head. They said that, quote, "Space has become an operational or even warfighting domain." I mean, that says it all, right? Space isn't just about exploration anymore. It's now officially a potential battlefield.
So, why should you care about any of this? Why are satellites suddenly these super valuable targets? Well, the answer's pretty simple, and it affects all of us. Our entire modern world runs on them.
Seriously, just think about your day. The GPS that gets you from A to B? Satellites. The banking systems that handle your transactions? Satellites. Your phone, the internet? It all leans on this incredibly delicate network of satellites orbiting above us. And that's not even mentioning the huge constellations like Starlink, which are becoming absolutely vital for both civilian and military communications.
So when you put it all together, what you're seeing is a fundamental shift in what war could look like. The creation of weapons like the TPG1000C, it's really kicking off a brand new era of invisible warfare.
Just try to imagine it. A war where the first shot is one you can't see or hear.
One country could cripple another's entire military and economy from thousands of miles away, and the first clue that you're even under attack would be your GPS going dead or the internet just blinking out. That is the new reality we're talking about.
You know, for decades, the space race was all about who could get there first. First man, first on the moon. But now, the race is about something totally different. It's about controlling the territory we already have up there and scrambling to figure out how to defend our stuff from these silent, invisible attacks.
And that leaves us with one final and really critical question. As we become more and more dependent on everything happening in orbit every single day, how in the world do we defend it all against a threat we literally cannot see coming?